Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Robert and I live on a small farm, 50 kilometres from Melbourne, in the state of Victoria, Australia. This is my little grey Fergie. I've owned her for 26 years. In that time, she's taught me more about patience and about doing things in the right order. This is the story of the repairs I've carried out over the years to keep her running. 9 repairs spread across 26 years. Some were cosmetic, some were simple wear and tear, and a couple left me stranded in the paddock. There was a full strip down and repaint not long after I bought her, a cylinder head rebuild, a battery and generator replacement, an electrical fault that stopped her dead in a 6-acre paddock, a leaking water pump, a broken timing chain, 2 separate trips into the bell housing for clutch work, and a hydraulic pump rebuild. I'll take you through all of it. 26 years ago, this Ferguson TEA20 came home, in need of serious attention. What followed was 9 separate repair jobs spread across the decades. Some planned, some forced on her in the middle of a job, each one adding to the story. The first job was to ascertain which parts to remove rust and paint on the tractor and those that should be removed for individual attention. Working only in the evenings and some weekends, the rust and paint removal took some time. Parts that weren't suitable for grinding or sanding required an electrolysis rust removal process. Decades of paint and rust had to go from the removed parts. Each panel was worked back to clean steel. Now the work began on the rest of the tractor. With the panels sorted, attention turned to the rest of the tractor. Every trace of old paint and rust was stripped from the entire body. The task of paint and rust removal was laborious and time-consuming, but rewarding in the end result. The next phase was to paint. The tractor was sprayed with grey metal undercoat, protecting the bare metal. For the finish coat, nothing but the genuine colour would do. Ferguson grey. I still have one of the tins 26 years later. I set up a painting booth in my shed for the top coat. With protective gear on, I applied the 2-pack top coat. 2-pack paint contains hardener for a durable finish. After the paint dried and cured, the tractor was reassembled. This is the finished tractor. After a lot of hard work, I was very happy with the result. But problems were soon to appear. Shortly after finishing the painting, I purchased a 4-foot wide slasher. While slashing up a hill, the tractor started to struggle. We returned to the shed for investigation. 2 of the 4 cylinders were reading low. The cylinder head had to come off. Fortunately, I received a workshop manual when I purchased the tractor. I have referred to it many times. 2 valves were found to be cracked and were replaced. All valves and seats were ground and the head shaved. The head was put back on the tractor engine, valves and timing were set, engine started. It ran very well. The lesson I learnt was always check the mechanicals before painting. The valve work removed paint and damaged other paintwork. After this, I had no problems for a few years. During this time, I installed in the dashboard an ammeter. One day, my generator stopped charging. After further checking, I decided to replace the generator and battery. In late spring, I was slashing long grass and the tractor stopped and wouldn't start. There was spark at the distributor point, but none at the spark plugs. Fortunately, a friend arrived and found a small crack in the rotor button. He has good eyesight. At his suggestion, we put some foil on the rotor button and she started, and this got us to the shed. I then purchased a new rotor button, and the next few years everything ran sweetly with my little grey tractor, slashing grass, using a grader blade and carting materials. But more major problems were to come. A noise coming from the front of the engine brought about the next repair. It was quickly identified that the water pump bearing was making the noise, and the coolant was drained from the radiator before the pump was removed. The old pump's bearing was worn and a new pump was purchased and fitted.
Nice and smooth. Look at that belt.
Repair was successful, no leaks, but a bigger problem was on the horizon. The next repair was one of the biggest of the 26 years of ownership. It happened mid-job, slashing the 6-acre paddock. There was a loud bang from the front of the engine and the tractor stopped. I immediately thought, that's the timing chain busted. This was a big problem. What to do? My wife and I, after disconnecting the slasher, we pushed the tractor 250 metres back to the shed. After removing the bonnet, radiator, front axle and wheels, crankshaft, pulley and timing cover, the broken timing chain was visible. I referred to my workshop manual for removal of damaged parts. I purchased new parts, fitted them and put it all back together. After checking engine timing, my little grey Fergie ran great. Now let's look at her working soon after the repair. The engine is running sweetly. Plenty of power. Slashing grass like it's a new tractor. The next problem occurred in 2015 when the clutch thrust bearing began to make an horrendous noise. Unfortunately, this would require the splitting of the tractor at the bell housing to give access to the thrust bearing. Now with access, the old bearing was replaced. Joining the two tractor halves was difficult and frustrating. In a later repair inside the bell housing, I discovered a solution to quickly join the halves. 2 years later in 2017, the hydraulics stuck in the upper position, another trip to the workshop for repair. I removed the seat and diff cover to expose the hydraulic oil reservoir, pump and oil passageways to the hydraulic arms. I then drained the oil, cleaned the gunk from the reservoir and passageways, then removed the pump through a side panel. I serviced the pump on the workbench, replaced it back in the tractor, reassembled the parts, added the oil, and the hydraulics worked. The final major repair came in 2025. The clutch plate started sticking to the flywheel, making the tractor dangerous to use. I'd been putting off the repair as it meant splitting the tractor at the bell housing to get access to the clutch. After splitting the tractor and exposing the clutch up, it was removed. A new clutch plate was required. Everything else was thoroughly cleaned. I purchased a new clutch plate online. The pressure plate and spigot bearing were okay. I reassembled all parts back on the tractor. Now the hard part. Joining the two halves in the past was difficult. This time, using an online tip, it was much easier. This time, with the halves pushed nearly together, I rotated the PTO shaft at the rear of the tractor and they easily fitted together. Minor repairs and servicing was carried out on her, including oil, filters, new spark plugs, points and distributor cap, new carby, 26 years, 9 major repairs. Fergie still runs strong today. I hope you enjoyed my video. See you in the next one.